All right, we are live. Um, so I'm Danielle. I'm an HR and leadership coach. I support leaders with going strategic, becoming more strategic, and kind of getting out of the weeds. And then also, I have recently launched human design, which is part of my business. So I support
That's awesome.
using the tool of human design because I see so much value in it that I really have a hard time not including it. So and I'm here with Jen. I had asked Jen to join me for a live one-on-one where we can just talk about each other and kind of learn about each other. And if you want to, Jen Laffin, she is the Chief Momentum Officer and she supports women-owned small businesses. So if you can kind of share a little bit about who you are, whatever you want to share, so our audience can kind of learn about you.
Well, now that you brought in the human design component, which I have to admit, like I did not know that about you, so I'm like we could totally geek out about that. But I will share I'm a 6-2 generator,
Ah,
which
okay.
should
Good to
surprise
know.
no one that knows anything about human design.
Mm.
But like you said, my name is Jen Laffine. I'm a chief momentum officer for women business owners. So basically, I help women stop avoiding and start taking action in their business. And I've been doing this work now, this work in particular, for about 3 years. And then before that, I was a fourth grade teacher. So
Oh.
I've that teaching is something that has come naturally to me, which I've also discovered is a part of my human design. So
There's so much hidden in that, right? So much hidden in human design. It's you could study it for your life and I don't think you would ever cover it all. It's crazy.
for sure, yeah.
So tell me about the businesses that you work with. What do you help? Like when people come to you, what are they usually saying?
Well, a lot of the women that come to me for support are those who are stalled in their business is not growing. And when we start to take a look at what's going on, it's almost never strategy. Everybody always tells us, like, you need this strategy here, buy my course, buy my workshop, buy this book, all of these different things, keep learning, learning, learning. And the problem is we get in such learning mode that we forget to actually start applying what it is that we're learning. So we start avoiding doing hard things in our business, making those connection calls, the sales conversations, the things that are going to generate revenue for us in our business, creating the content and sharing it out so people can find us easier. Those are all things that are very like nerve wracking for a lot of people. And so they tend to do the easier things in their business, which often is the learning or the redesigning the website or the creating content that they never post. And so my job is to basically give them a nice, gentle nudge out of what I call their comfort cave, which is that place that they've been hiding that's been keeping them safe, and get them out and doing the things that are going to help generate revenue in their business. So I love it. I love the work that I do. I think I know from studying my human design, I was made for this work. So
And I'm a 1-3, so I know all about investigating and investigating and investigating some more. So my challenge is always like, when do I stop studying and think I have enough data to move forward? And then I go through the trial and error process, which is a whole journey in and of itself. But now that I've learned that, so much makes sense. So much of my life makes sense, right? It's almost well, it usually is comical when I do the trial and error because my first live was actually I did it on Substack by myself, and I didn't realize that people couldn't chat with me because they were not paid subscribers, and I didn't know that, so I talked to myself for about 15 minutes. so,
been
so that
there,
was my trial and error.
been there twice, as a matter of fact. I did
Yeah.
LinkedIn Lives. The first time I talked to myself for 5 minutes before I
Mhm.
was like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need to press this go live button. And then the next time it was 25 minutes. And I was,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
know what I did right after is I scheduled the third one. Because if I had
Oh.
let those first two like get in my head about I
Hmm.
did it and I messed up and it's so embarrassing and all this other phony baloney that your brain will tell you, I never would have ever done one again. And so the third one, without a hitch.
No
So
problem. There
yay,
you
go
go.
us. Go us.
Yes, right, right. It's funny how we learn. So you posted an energy audit, 4 questions that will show you exactly what's weighing your business down. Tell me about that. Talk to me about that post and that article.
Okay, so that was my my Hello Success article last week, which is the name of my newsletter, Hello Success. It also was an episode of my podcast, and I had a really great response to the podcast, and I thought this has to be in writing somewhere, so I decided to put it into an article. So basically, the energy audit is designed to help you figure out what exactly it is you're avoiding in your business, like what's draining all of that energy and stealing your mental bandwidth that you might not necessarily realize. Because a lot of times when I'll talk to women entrepreneurs and I'll say, tell me, what is it that you're avoiding in your business? And they'll look at me and they'll say, like, I'm not avoiding anything. Like, I don't avoid things. And I'm like, well, but you are. And so we go through this energy audit. So it's 4 questions. And so I can give those questions to you now. They are, the first one is, what are you dreading right now? Okay, what are you dreading right now? So I don't know, Danielle, do you feel like being brave? Is there something you want to
Sure,
share there? Like, is there something you're dreading?
absolutely. I think the one thing that I'm dreading is failure, right? Is failure and not making any money. I think that's something I'm dreading. And don't, I refuse to give up. So that's like the one thing I guess that I'm dreading. That
So,
but dreading's hard because dreading to me is like it's going to happen, right?
mhm,
And that's not going to happen.
okay, okay.
So,
But you're not necessarily dreading failure. I think if you were to back it up even another step, it's quite possible you're avoiding doing the things that could lead to failure. Because you already
mhm,
just said like that you don't give up,
mhm,
right? But I'm also wondering like what is your brain going to make it seem if you do fail? For me, like with my clients, I always tell them failure is just data. It just shows us a way that didn't work.
mhm,
And our job is to go out there and collect as much data as we can. And entrepreneurs will not be successful
mhm.
if they don't make decisions from data,
Yeah, and that's
right?
that trial and error that we talked about.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it also brings to mind the have you read Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich?
I actually had that. I have it. I listened to it twice, and I actually had it open last night. I was thinking about putting together a mastermind, and just, finding some people and putting something together that we can kind of pull from each other. So
Mhm.
that's exactly, yes, I have
Okay.
read that.
So in Think and Grow Rich, there's a story about 3 feet from gold.
Hmm.
And this is actually the second time today I told this story. So it's about these gold prospectors want, and I'm really going to mash up the story, but essentially these gold prospectors in the early 1900s wanted to go out and make their fortunes mining gold. And so they bought like all this expensive equipment and they went out and they started mining, and the vein of gold that they were digging in dried up. And they thought, well, this is it. This is the end of the gold. And so they sold the equipment to this like prospector in town who was just this poor guy, and he studied everything he could about gold mining. He went back out and he started digging again, and what he found was that the vein stopped and then picked back up 3 feet from where the last people stopped, and he made millions of dollars based on this. So the whole story of 3 feet from gold is when you are met with an obstacle like a failure, do you give up or do you keep trying? Do you keep digging? Do you keep readjusting your plan? And I think like that is to me like the heart of entrepreneurship, is that you don't let these things stop you, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah, and I think that too, whenever you say, and something that I've found with myself is I'll try something and it won't work. And so then I try something else instead of just like shifting or continuing to try that same thing to make it work. And I don't know what the right answer is, but I feel like I walk away too
Yeah.
quickly. And
Mhm.
I think that that's where that gold can be.
Exactly. And so now you know that
Mhm.
about yourself, which is great
Mhm.
because now that's something that you can be aware of. Okay, so the
Mhm.
first question is what are you dreading? The second question is what decision have you been putting off?
Adding human design to my business.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So then that would give us also another place to talk about, well, why have you been avoiding it?
Mhm.
What's scaring you? What's making you nervous? Again, is it the failure component? Okay. So question number 3 is, what issue keeps coming back unresolved? Is it human design?
It's yes, I guess it's human design because when people talk to me about human design, I'm so passionate. And that's even my husband said, "You are so passionate about human design compared to when you talk about your business." Because and I was
Ding,
like,
ding,
"Well, I think
ding.
my
Yeah.
relationship with my business is a little complicated." And so, but human design I can talk about all day long, and I'm very energized by it.
So
Um,
it's quite possible that because this whole human design thing has come up now several times, that is creating an energy drain on your business.
mm,
And we know like there's energy around us, right? All the time, all the different ways when we are energized about something that like you can feel it, like the people who are, you know, talking with you and working with you, like they can feel that. When it's a drain, they can feel that too. So that
mm,
might be something to dig into.
mhm,
Okay, so then the fourth question is, what in my business requires more for me than it gives?
mm.
Don't think too hard. Come up with your first answer. What's the first thing that pops in your mind?
Probably outreach.
Okay. So then that's something too that, like, outreach is an important component of running a business
Mhm,
and having a successful business. Tying this back into your concern about whether your business will be a success and make money, you got both ends of the string right here, right?
mhm,
So your job is just to connect them.
yeah,
Okay.
and I
And
think
that will
that
help solve some of those leaks for you.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I love that, and I think those are amazing questions that I think we all need to ask ourselves periodically in our business,
Absolutely.
right? Not just one
Absolutely.
time, because those answers are gonna change over time, and depending upon what we're dealing with, they're gonna
100%. It's
yeah.
also important not to overthink the answers,
Mm,
right? Because, like I said, don't think too hard about it. Whatever comes to your mind first is your answer. Because what's going to happen is your first answer is going to pop in your mind. That is your real answer. Your brain is going to go to work trying to protect you, and it's going to say, like, oh, that's really not a big deal. Or, oh, that's something that you can do, not a problem. That first answer is what matters. All the other answers are the ones that have been like spiffied up by your self doubt and minimized by your self doubt. So you always want to try to grab that first answer.
and then how do we fix it? How do we, address it?
We can't fix anything until we know what it is. So for a lot of people,
Mhm,
just naming it, like I can see and can feel a difference in your energy just since you answered those 4 questions.
mhm,
And that you're like, now I do have both ends of the string. Now maybe I really do need to give more attention to why am I avoiding bringing human design into my work?
mhm,
Okay. And if you were to do that, that is going to start plugging those energy holes and is going to help you start moving forward.
yeah.
Okay. We can't do
Yeah.
anything until we know what we're working with.
Yeah, and I think those are great examples because it's just funny that, today's the day that we connect, but because I really am just I made the decision this morning. I'm doing it. Because my thing was I was struggling with it can be seen as woo, right? And I'm a corporate girl, so I lived and grew up in corporate for the last 25 years. So it's just one of those things that I really struggled with bringing it in because I didn't think it would be accepted, across the board. But I was actually having some photos taken last year, and she said to me because I had books and stuff because she was doing some B-roll, and I said I don't want those human design books in some of these photos, and she's like, why? And I said because I don't know if it'll appeal to people that I'm going to work with, and she said, well, then do you really want to work with those people, right? And I said, well, that's a valid question, because and my coaching clients for HR in the past have been open to it. So once we started talking about it and diving into it, they were very interested. So I think it's just the right people find you, right? And the right people, you attract the right people.
Well, and I would say too, like that woo part of you, you're seeing that, like your conditioning is seeing that as a deficit.
Yeah.
What if it was a benefit? What if it was something that created your uniqueness and helped your people find you and get rid of the people who are not meant for you? Because you can have like 10,000 followers, but if they're not like legitimately interested in doing business with you, you're better off just having 5 who are, right?
For
And
sure.
so it's kind of like you want to just keep calling out the people who are not meant for you by showing more of who you are.
Very much
We
so.
were if we were talking in my I have run a small group called the Momentum Room, and we were talking this morning in our weekly meeting about the fear that we carry of sounding like ourselves. And that one of the participants was spending an awful lot of time taking a lot of courses from the experts and learning from the experts about how to do things, how to post on LinkedIn, how to write and create content, how to do courses. And she was just getting so involved in what other people were doing that she forgot her own unique perspective, her beautiful experience that she's had. And it was like, stop trying to sound like everybody else. Your people want you. They want you, they want your voice, your ideas, and give yourself permission to do that. And I think so many people are afraid to do that, which means you don't have a lot of competition out there in that market. So I would definitely say go for it. You'll probably find people who'll be like, oh my gosh, finally, somebody who really gets me.
Yeah,
So,
and that's the thing too, is I actually posted in an HR group that I'm part of about, hey, I'm getting my certification. I'm just looking for 2 people to do like human design chart analysis. Oh my goodness, I had like 15. And so that, like, I didn't do them all, right? But I'm like, now I have those people in my what do you call that? My atmosphere, my
yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
And so, now I have those people there, and now I can reach out and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm offering. So, yeah, it's been interesting yeah, it's
Good
been
for
very
you.
interesting.
Good for you
Yeah.
for even starting down that path, Danielle, because so many people won't, like they won't.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
and somebody I had heard someone say, if they're not paying your bills, their opinion doesn't matter.
absolutely.
Oh my goodness, did that took a wall down for me big time. And it was so valuable to hear that. And it's still like in my head. And it was probably about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago,
Mhm.
somebody said that. And it was so accurate.
Yeah.
So, and people don't care what you're doing. Like they don't like the people that aren't your people, they're not even in your, stuff. They don't know what you're doing. They don't care. I will say that entrepreneurship has been quite a pivot. I feel like you pivot a lot.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
and that's been an interesting thing. And I had Philip on yesterday, and he was talking about pivoting from marketing. And that's the thing too, is my background's in HR. So I feel like you feel like you're in a box to an extent. Like we're like, okay, I can only do HR stuff because that's what I know. But in reality, like you have so many gifts from like based on your human design, right? You have so many gifts that you can give. It doesn't matter if that's what you've been doing for the last 20, 25 years. Bringing those gifts to light and supporting people in that way is
I
helpful.
I look at all of the past jobs I've had, and I've had a lot of them. Okay.
Mhm.
I graduated college at a time where there were no jobs to be had. I had a degree in English, right? I went to work in a temp agency. I got hired on a temp to hire job. I worked in inside sales, so I was basically doing customer service. From there, I got recruited to be a recruiter. And I did that for about a year. And then I went into selling real estate with my mom because my mom was a successful realtor. And I did that for about 3 years when I had my children. So then I stayed home for 12 years as a stay at home mom. While I was a stay at home mom, I went back to school, got my teaching license. I taught fourth grade. I left the classroom in 2017 and I started a company first called Teach Right, which is where I help teachers grow as writers so that their students could too. I taught them about teaching writing. From there, I transitioned into coaching. I used to look back and think about all these jobs that I've had and been like, what is the matter with me? I'm so flaky. Like, why can't I find a career and stick with it? Because all of those things were so different, right?
Mhm.
Then when I learned my human design and learned each of those jobs that I had taught me an important skill that I needed to be able to do the work that I'm doing today. And I really do feel like this work is my calling today. You know, I learned customer service, I learned sales, I learned, um, you know, problem management and all those different things that if I didn't have all those different jobs, I wouldn't be the coach that I am today, the accountability specialist I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that all that time in HR for you taught you important things you needed to learn to do this entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just never knew what that looked like. So
Good for
that's
you.
been, yeah, yeah. And I think I needed to have that corporate career to learn in order
Mm-hmm.
to prepare me for it.
Mm-hmm. For
So
sure.
yeah. Well,
Good.
you
Good for you.
mentioned the momentum room. Talk to me about that.
So, the Momentum Room is my small group program for women entrepreneurs, where, again, it's essentially helping them get through the things that they're avoiding and take action. And it involves coaching. It involves something I call accountability without the angst, which is human first accountability, meaning that it's not just a I did something or I didn't do it. It's if you didn't do it, let's talk about why you didn't do it. And it's we talk about the mindset behind all of the things we do. We talk about building self trust. We talk about creating plans that are intentional and that are doable, and then taking intentional action. We talk about leading from our future. I call it future led identity, where we're constantly talking about the, the entrepreneur that we're going to be in a year from now and showing up as her today. And so we meet weekly, we do co-working together, we do monthly workshops together. It's just a really great supportive community. I know you talked at the beginning of the show about wanting to start a mastermind. And I think in a lot of ways this is like a mastermind, but it's not like the hot seat kind of mastermind that a lot of people associate masterminds with. And I just love the group. I love everybody who's in there. It's a small group. We have about 7 entrepreneurs in it right now. I'm starting a second cohort, and we just have a great time. And everybody is making progress, which is so awesome because sitting on the outside and working with some of these people for a year or longer, I am able to like show them, do you remember a year ago when you wouldn't even post on LinkedIn? Do you remember when you wouldn't make that cold call? Do you remember this? Now look at all of these things that you're doing. Look at all of the momentum you're gaining. And having someone like that to be able to point those things out to you, it like gives you even more gas in your car to help you go even farther. So I love it. I absolutely love it.
Very cool. Very cool. The and you said there's about 7 people in it. What kind of businesses are you working with? Are you working with like mostly service businesses or
They are service-based women business owners. Everybody is a like a consultant or a coach or working with. I work with a couple people in the group who work with in like senior living where they help, again, more on a consultant basis, but lots of not product based businesses, but they certainly product based business owners certainly could gain support from this as well because everybody needs this kind of mindset support and this kind of accountability.
very cool. And then you said you're starting another cohort. When are you starting it?
In August.
In August. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. Well, that's good to know. If anybody wants any information on it, where can they find that?
Oh, that's a great question. So on my website, jenlaffin.com, and then there's under work with me, you'll see the momentum room. And I think it's also jenlaffin.com/TMR for the momentum room is where you'll also find information.
Okay, cool. And then you also mentioned your podcast. Talk to me about that. You have the Goal Setter podcast, right?
Goal Getter Guide
Goal
podcast. And
Getter
so I
Gut, yes.
just tomorrow I'm releasing episode 46. This is
Oh, wow.
actually season 2. Season 1, I've had over 100 episodes between both seasons. And so in it I talk about, if you follow me on Substack, it's a lot of the stuff I talk about on Substack. It's a lot of the stuff I talk about here that I talk about on LinkedIn that I'm teaching in the momentum room. It's just a way for people, for entrepreneurs to be able to get some insight from me or some guidance from me that can't afford to work with me or don't have the capacity to work with me. It's just one of the ways that I give back. And so I have weekly episodes, and I'm really excited. Tomorrow's episode, we're talking about creating your summer strategy and making a plan for how you're going to show up to your business this summer in a way that is going to give you a lot of free time. So, very excited for that episode.
Very cool. And they can find that on your website too, or is it on Substack?
They can find that on my website, or they can search any of the platforms. It's called the Goal Getter Guide Podcast.
Okay, very cool. So speaking of goals, we
Yes,
talked
let's talk.
about goals. Yeah. We talked a little bit about goals. I struggle with, and I think others probably have this a similar. I think you had made a post that was like it jarred me a little bit. And it was about setting goals and then not keeping them or not achieving them. And I have struggled because I've tried to set my coach for my human design business coach. She focuses on a now goal, and what I am so happy and grateful now that I have, and whatever that may be, right? And at first, I started with a dollar amount, and I was like, I don't know that I'm really motivated by money at this point. And then I think I went to clients, and that really, and I don't know, I think I wonder if like I need to put it like in front of something that I see every single day so that it's the first thing I see so that that's my mindset during the day. Or what are your tips for someone that struggles with I guess focus on on specific goals and how to achieve them?
The first thing I would ask you, Danielle, is you kind of just solved your own problem right there. And you're saying, like, I'm not really motivated by money.
Mhm.
And your goal that you have, like, I always want my clients to set goals that are really going to truly light them up. And that looks completely different for you, for me, for every single person that I work for or that I work with. And so if money doesn't motivate you and money isn't something that lights you up, what does?
Helping people.
Okay, so clients could
Hmm.
be a good goal for you
Hmm.
to set.
Hmm.
Okay. So you can set, like, say like this year I want to add five, I want to be able to offer service to five new people. Okay. Now you asked about strategies. By the way, let
Hmm.
me ask you, would that light you up? Five new clients? What's the number for
Oh,
you?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so we can go with five new clients. Okay.
Hmm.
So then there's a couple different things. First, yes, you have to make it very visible to yourself. So one of the things I like to do is I write my goals down in my journal every morning.
Ah, okay.
Every morning I'm writing, like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have whatever. Okay.
I love that.
Um, that keeps it fresh in my mind. And I know that I can't hide from it if I'm writing it in my journal every day. Right.
Hmm.
The other thing too is I have set up a KPI tracker. So you have to track your progress. All right. And to track your progress, I would say, like, what are the activities you have to do in order to bring in five new clients? Because just saying, like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have five new clients, that is not going to work. Like, what do you have to do? If you have a 10% turnover or join rates, you have to talk to 10 people and one person joins, then you need to talk to 50 people if you're going to get five, right?
Hmm.
So identifying what are the things that you need to do. So in my goal getter framework, that is precision planning. That comes under that pillar, precision planning, meaning we're going to get very specific about the things that you need to do in order to get those five clients. Do you need to do networking? Do you need to do X amount of coffee chats a week? Do you need to reconnect with old clients? Like, all the different things that you need to do, you identify them. And then you track them every week.
Okay.
Did you meet with X amount of people? Did you have X amount of coffee chats? Did you go to X amount of networking? Did you send X amount of DMs? Did you comment on X amount of posts? All of these different things, again, looking for the data, because if you're tracking it, if you're measuring it, it's going to start mattering to you, because you can only go so many weeks of having 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 before you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, this is not working. And
Mm-hmm.
so it also involves like taking a deep dive into yourself. What would it mean to you to be able to service and take on 5 new clients? What would it mean for you? What would it mean for them?
Mm-hmm.
And really getting that emotional attachment to the goal. Okay, because if
That's
like you said, like if it's earning money,
mm-hmm.
money doesn't motivate you right now. So you could be like, "Phew, okay, so I didn't make the money," but it's going to
Mm-hmm.
hurt you more, or it's going to affect you
Right.
more if you don't have those 5 clients in your world, because that means those are 5 people that are going to stay in their pain. They're going to stay confused. They're going to stay struggling because you're not going out there and making yourself available to them.
That's a great way to look at it. And don't get me wrong, money's nice,
Oh, of course. Yeah.
but I won't. I took a I burn out of corporate, right? And then I took a fractional role last year to support a local business, and I went in 3 times a week for half days, and my burnout came right back. And my fiance at the time was like, "But you're making so much money," and I said, "I don't care." Like that doesn't, so that's what I mean. Like, I'm not going to sell my soul to make money. Like, that's just not, I can't do that. I could go, get a job, in corporate and do it. And that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for fulfillment and adding
Yeah.
value and all that stuff. Right. So, and sharing what I know and sharing what I can. So those are the things that light me up. And then I feel like the money would just follow.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
100% it will. And it's also like I hear you, I hear you so clearly when you say that. Like, I believe that if I show up and do the things that I need to do to make myself visible, the people are going to show up and the money is going to take care of itself. I also am not someone that's very motivated by money. I'm motivated by sitting in my momentum room group every week and seeing the tremendous brave things that those women are doing that are bringing them so much joy. And to me, I'm like, woo, that's why I'm here,
And
right?
you're like, "This is my job? What?" Yeah.
Right? Right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, what else do you have going on? What else do you want to talk about? You've basically coached me this whole time, and I appreciate that. But we have some great people online too, so they've, gotten some exposure to you and gotten to see how you coach and what working with you would be like. So I think that's really good. But what else can we talk about today, Jen?
That's a really good question. So I would love to learn more about you. So, like, why human resources for you?
Oh, I happened into it. I initially was going to school for psychology, and I had to dissect that damn fetal pig. And I dissected it the first time and I got an F, and I dissected it the second time and I got a D, and I was not doing it a third time. So I said, well, I'm done with college. So I went and got a full-time job the same way you did. I started with a temp agency with a secretary receptionist job when I was about 19 years old, and I got on full time after about 6 months. And then I was like, okay, this isn't what I want to do with the rest of my life. So I went back to school with something they would pay for. And the only thing I was really interested in at the time that they would pay for was HR. So
Interesting.
that was how I ended up in HR.
And so, how long did you work corporate HR?
20 years. 20 years. I was in that company for 8 years. I wasn't in HR though. Every 2 years I moved into a different role. So I was in customer support, I was a buyer, I was an admin, I was the secretary receptionist. So every 2 years I changed roles there. And then I ended up in HR in around 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, about 20 years.
That's a really long time.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Look at all you learned,
Thank you.
right? Look at all you
Yeah.
learned. Good. So,
Yeah, right.
what would you say? I know you talked about bringing human design into your business. So, what would you say are some things that you're working toward in your business right now?
Bridging emotional intelligence and human design. So
Mm,
how we can expand our emotional intelligence using human design. That's the biggest thing I'm working towards, because that's the way, I think that's the bridge that I found that I can kind of focus on for that corporate group, right? Because
mhm.
everybody knows what emotional intelligence is. Everybody knows that it's very important to grow in your role. So bridging that with human design. So that's probably what I'm working on now, but also client acquisition. So I am doing outreach. I guess it's my Bible. It's basically, a list of all the people that I guess I've built relationships with or connected with, or people that attended my HR workshops, because I do those for local SHRM chapters. And then, just kind of go through and kind of touch them every once in a while and do that. So that's,
That's great.
yeah, it's a lot. It's because I do personal. I try to do personal messages. I do send out like one email that's like a marketing email once a week, just to kind of stay top of mind for everybody. But I am trying to do the personal outreach and kind of check in and just see where that is. It's frustrating when you don't hear back, but also I really think back to corporate, and I think about how busy I was, and they didn't hear back from me either. I wouldn't hear back from me either. So
Sure.
unless
Sure.
it was like I hit them right at the right time, right?
Sure.
Whenever they needed me or I needed them or whatever, right at that right time. So just
So
want to stay top of mind.
that's really interesting that you bring that up, because that's also something that comes up a lot in the work that I do with people, avoiding that kind of outreach, because to them it's a lot of times they'll say not hearing back is almost worse than getting a no
Mhm.
when they do their sales pitches, or they're try to go into the sales call. And I said, well, think about the times, like you said, I'm busy, like I didn't get back to you. It doesn't mean a no. And it doesn't certainly doesn't mean you're a horrible human being. Like all like your self-doubt is making it mean all of these different things that it doesn't necessarily mean. So it's important to remember that it's not just, sometimes people just don't have time. And
Mhm.
don't let that be
Yeah.
the deciding factor of the kind of outreach that you're doing.
Yeah, and honestly, what that lady said a couple months ago or whatever, if they're not paying your bills, so then why, why are you worried about what they think? If they're like, oh,
Yeah,
this lady again, they'll like, say no, thank you or something if they really don't want to hear from me, because I know that's what I
absolutely.
would do, right? Um,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, good. So I've loved chatting with you today and getting to know you. We didn't know each other before this call started, and now I feel like I know you
no,
so much better. And I'm so glad you
definitely.
mentioned the human design. And thank you for having me on, Danielle. It's been a pleasure and so much fun chatting with you.
Absolutely. And if you can send me information on your momentum room, because it sounds very interesting.
Absolutely. Be happy to.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thanks for
much,
having
Jen.
me.
It's been great, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
And
Thanks for
thanks,
everybody for
everybody.
coming.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.